30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
It doesn't. There we are. Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Monday afternoon. We are in Gallatin, Tennessee, at the beautiful Foxland Golf Course, where the Fellowship of Christian Athletes is having its annual golf tournament. We look like we're in some room where somebody's going to win the Masters, but such is not the case. At least I'm not aware it is. But we've had fun already today. The wind has calmed down out there, so the conditions on the course are really pretty darn nice. A guy that ought to be playing in it is sitting in Murfreesboro, and that would be the one and only Kelly Holcomb. Watson Brown will rejoin us sometime in July, not a day too soon. Kelly, how are you?
I'm good, George. I was actually going to say the same sentiment about you being in, you look like you're in Butler Cabin in the Masters.
Yeah.
On the couch, you're relaxing. I know you didn't get any golf in. I had the opportunity to play in a golf tournament this afternoon, but I told them, hey, I've got to do this. I should have just bolted and played golf anyway, you know?
Nice pillows.
Yes.
Very nice. Okay, so tell us about the Cleveland Brown event that you attended over the weekend.
It was just a Browns backers deal. There's Browns backers clubs all over the country, which is pretty amazing. And for the majority of it, most of the people are older. It was, the Jim Brown era, the Cardiac Kids era, the Otto Graham era. That's when people, because, you didn't get every game on TV like they do now. So people used to see Otto Graham and Dante Lavelli and all those guys, Paul Warfield, and they saw the Cardiac Kids. So that's when the Browns got really popular. My high school coach, Lewis Thompson, was a huge Browns fan. He loved it when I went there. But I asked some of the guys the other night, I said, with all these Browns backers, because they're the only ones that have a banquet now, I think. It's in Rochester, New York, called the Photo City Browns backers. And I said, so with all you guys getting older and all you guys probably going to have to step down and quit doing this at some point, is the younger generation going to come back and, they're going to keep the legacy going, because the Browns have not been very good, since they've been back. They've had 2 years that they've gone to the playoffs. So they didn't know, but it was fun. There was probably 150 people there. It was pretty cool. We signed some autographs and spoke, and it was a good time.
Tell the story about the lady.
There was this lady that, we were signing autographs. They had already made up. It was myself and Harrison Bryant, which is a tight end for those guys from Georgia. He went to FAU, and he's been there for 3 years, but they were just coming through, and we already had pictures. They'd made pictures of some of our playing years. And this lady came up, and she had these articles from way back when. It was when Tim and I were going through all that. And then, when I started, and I mean, it was the most, it was all like newspaper stuff. It was an Insider magazine. And I asked her afterwards, I'm like, is there any way that I can take pictures of that? Because that's the coolest collection I've ever seen. I've never seen those pictures.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see things when you have to go sign autographs. I had to do it the day before, because there was a guy that found out that, or the same day, found out I was coming up there, and I signed a bunch of autographs for him. But I'd never seen those pictures, so it was really cool.
Y'all
got them? If y'all got them, are y'all going to show everybody?
I don't know if we can or not. I have not sent these. I've been out running for office. So
he's been shaking hands.
Send it to David, not Billy.
Yeah, they scraped the bottom of the barrel with me.
Wow. Seems like there's some tension between you two.
George has been shaking hands and kissing babies.
Billy, I just sent them to you.
Okay, well, that's going to be...
Notice how quick my internet, I'm
surprised you were able to do that.
Me too. I am too, Billy. You're absolutely right.
That was quick.
Okay, report. Did they come through?
They did.
Yeah.
That's going to be a little bit
yeah.
of a process showing them, though.
Well, so
Maybe we can get them on tomorrow.
So
I'm looking at them,
so
though.
you had a good time doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. You got to rub elbows from old guys to new guys to young guys to little girls to moms. They all love the Browns too. I mean, it's in Rochester, New York, and I'm like, I can't believe that they're not Bills fans. And guy said, we just got a hodgepodge in Rochester. There's a lot of Browns fans. There's a lot of Bills fans. There's some other guys that love, other teams. And he's like, it's just a hodgepodge up here. It's not like living in Buffalo and being a Bills fan your whole life. So that was, it was pretty cool. And it's cool to see, those people that absolutely loves the Browns. It's, I know that everybody, and I told them this, I know that everybody in the NFL, when you're talking to a player, we got the best fans in the league. But if you look at all the Browns backers across the country and how many organizations they have,
it's pretty remarkable.
It's really remarkable. And as bad as the Browns have been, I mean, they went 0-16 one year, and they still got people that fill that stadium. It's pretty unbelievable.
I grew up listening to 3WE in Cleveland with the legendary sports talk show host Pete Franklin, and this was in the era of Sam Ritigliano as the head coach and Brian Sipe as the quarterback. And it was amazing to me how much time per night he could fill up talking about that franchise. So let me ask this, and I don't mean it as smart aleck as it's going to sound. If you were a Hall of Famer, would you go in as a Cleveland Brown?
Yeah, I mean, that's where people remember me from. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's not, I've been fortunate. I've been blessed in my life. I'm in all the Hall of Fames, the Middle Hall of Fame, my small town Hall of Fame, and I've been to Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. But yeah, it's pretty apparent that I'm not going to make the NFL Hall of Fame.
You've given up on that one.
Yeah, I've given up on waiting on the call. It's not going to be like, Jimmy Johnson, where they knock on the door and the guy says, "Hey, welcome, you're going to be a National Football League Hall of Famer." It's not going to be that way. But I mean, I've come to grips with that. I understand that now.
Yeah. I would hope you came to grips with it some time ago. Billy, how are you today?
I'm great, George.
It seems like you and Kelly have not really meshed.
It's been a butting of heads, I would say. But no, he's made me better, George. I come to the studio ready to roll every day now that Kelly's on my heels.
Kelly, I thank you for that.
Well, here's the situation, and this is what I told a little kid up there the other day. One of the guys that got me from the airport, he had a son, and I messed with his son the whole day, and he just kept rolling his eyes and doing like that. But I told him when I was going back to the hotel, I said, "Hey, here's the deal, Anthony," because the kid's name was Anthony. I said, "Here's the deal. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't talk to you. When I like you, I'm going to pick at you, And that's, I mean, I do like Billy. He seems like a good child, but I mean, sometimes his technical difficulties that we have, it's just, I don't know. It
reminds me of high school basketball at Father Ryan. It can be negative, but he's trying to make it better. At least I hope.
David, you on the other hand seem to have bonded with Kelly. Do you think this is more the positive that you bring to the table, or the fact that you're not Billy?
I think Kelly and I are kindred spirits, as he would like to say.
Correct. As I said,
we're the new guys on the show together, so we're going to bond and tag team against you. And
we still don't have our pictures up on the opening. So
they've got a chip. They've got a chip on their shoulder.
You know what? I mean, we've got so many administrative things to take care of, and that's
one more administrative thing you got to take care of, because me and David have talked. We're going to go on strike at some point.
Okay, well,
I can't wait for that.
It's going to be.
I look forward to that. Is there an update in our future?
There is, George.
Is there really?
We start with a brutal baseball weekend for fans of Vanderbilt and the Braves.
Yeah, well, let's get past that.
Tennessee sweeps Vandy, and the Astros sweep the Braves. The Braves looked a little bit better than Vandy, though. At least they were competitive.
Well, there's some questions with both.
Yeah.
Okay. Vandy, if they are what they say they are, should not get ripped around like that.
No.
Okay. Tennessee's a good baseball team, but help me. The numbers were 17-1, and what was the other one?
10-5 on
10
Sunday.
to 5. Ugh. Now the Braves David, this is a different deal because there seems like this line that says, okay, if it's the Reds or the Royals, the Braves will rip them to shreds. But all of a sudden, a San Diego and a Houston, who are really good,
the big boys,
they've really struggled.
How about this, George? 10-2 on the road so far. 4-6 at home at Truist Park.
Yeah.
This past weekend, though, I take solace in this. They were leading or tied in 20 of the 27 innings versus the Astros. They just couldn't get it done when it came time for the bullpen to close out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Well, they won a world title because of a bullpen 2 years ago, so they better figure this out.
How did they get away with Yordan Alvarez hitting 100 in that World Series? He ripped them this weekend.
Oh, he was just a total stud.
he's the rookie, right?
No.
Or was he? He's not.
Jordan
He's a young guy.
Alvarez is a monster.
He's David Ortiz.
He goes up there. Yeah, he's got some.
Didn't he have 3 home runs before the 5th inning? One of those games, or was that not against the Braves? Maybe that was a few before. But yeah, he ripped them.
He's their best player. He's better than Bregman and Altuve. He's their guy.
He's a stud.
Meanwhile, in the NBA yesterday, the Knicks keep rolling. They beat the Cavs. They lead that series 3-1. Jalen Brunson.
The Garden was rocking.
The Garden's back.
Man, when they hit that defense chant, there is not a louder place on earth than the Garden.
The Garden. And Patino was there. The Stars were out. Ben Stiller was there. You know, what's his name? Courtside is there. I always forget his name. But
Spike Lee.
Yeah, Spike Lee. He's got the Jalen Brunson jersey on. So the Knicks are rolling. Warriors beat the Kings. They tie the series. Curry, 32 points. Celtics beat the Hawks last night, and it looks like they're going to take that series. They lead it 3-1. That game was in Atlanta. Tonight, only 2 games, Milwaukee and Miami, and then the Grizzlies and the Lakers. Lakers lead that one 2-1. My question is this a must-win for the Grizzlies?
Sure it is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
They can't go down 3-1.
No.
And Dylan Brooks.
Acting like a punk. I want to root for the Grizzlies, but this kind of behavior is a turnoff to me.
It's hard to get behind them.
It really is. I mean, LeBron James, first of all, trash talking LeBron James is stupid. It's idiotic.
Brooks called him old.
Well, okay, fine. And Brooks is like, until you score 40, I don't respect you. Well, when's Dylan Brooks scored 40?
He missed his first 5 or 6 shots.
I don't know. I mean, I'm having a hard time rooting for Memphis, and I really want to.
Can that be changed?
Not with this bunch.
Not with Brooks.
I don't think so.
One guy that did score 40 was Ja Morant, though.
He sure did. What, he had 45?
45.
Yeah. Of course, they were down 64-2.
Tonight's his night.
Before it got started.
He's going to have to carry him tonight.
Yeah. He sure is.
Meanwhile, in the NHL, 4 games yesterday, Carolina keeps rolling over the Islanders. They lead that series 3-1. Boston leads the series over Florida. They are just mauling the Panthers the last couple games. They lead it 3-1. Last 2 series we're going to talk about, they're tied at 2. Dallas beats Minnesota in what has been a great series. And then Edmonton came back to beat LA last night 5-4. So there's NHL just as good as the NBA, I think, an entertainment factor. So we got 4 more tonight: New Jersey and the New York Rangers, Toronto and Tampa, Vegas and Winnipeg, and then Colorado and Seattle. Also, some tough Vanderbilt basketball news. Tyron Lawrence, arguably their best player still on the roster, has entered the portal. That's now 7 guys that have entered the transfer portal for Jerry Stackhouse, and it continues to not look good for his future at Vanderbilt. I don't know if there was a clause in the extension he signed where maybe after 2 years they could potentially fire him or let him go, but I don't see a future next year.
The rumor was out early in the year that Tyron Lawrence was going to end up back at Georgia. Mm-hmm. Is that
that's what it feels
being
like?
Rumored now?
Another big-time SEC school or a big NIL program. Apparently Vanderbilt tried to keep him, tried to pay him, but Vanderbilt can't compete with the other big-time programs when it comes to NIL, and I think that's what the case is for Tyron Lawrence. He's got a young kid that he's got to take care of, and he was trying to get paid this year, and I think he might have.
So how many is it that have hit the portal from there?
7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
Siete.
And I think Stackhouse now is approaching guys trying to bring them back that have entered the portal. So they're not in good shape right now.
Interesting.
That's what I've got, though.
Do they have enough to field a team?
That's a good question, Kelly. Right now I think they would have what, 8-9 guys that would play, and most of them aren't proven players. So
it's not bad enough that they're asking me.
No, but it's close.
I wish they would.
No, I think that'd be great.
It's not as bad as the Titans receiving core.
At forward, Plaz. Roll him out in a wheelchair. Okay, let me tell you a little of what we've got going on in this first hour. This one dropped in my lap, and I jumped all over it. Brandt Snedeker was out here earlier today, and we taped this interview. He'll explain in the interview a little of why you have not seen him on the PGA Tour yet, but it looks like that may change within the next couple of months. He's battled a very difficult injury. That's going to happen right off the bat. And then after the Brandt Snedeker interview, we'll learn a little bit more about the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. At 3 o'clock, Kelly's World of Football with some good stuff today. Meat on the bone. We're ready. Hope you're ready. Stick around. Brandt Snedeker is in the on-deck circle. But first, let's tell you about the folks at Action 24/7. That would involve me saying to you, are you betting on the NBA playoffs or even the NHL playoffs? Well, today at Action 24/7, use that promo code GEORGE and get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book, and that's right. If you got questions, these are good folks who can help you, and they are located as neighbors right here in Tennessee. So download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning, and please bet responsibly.
30 years.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
We are back. We're at Foxland out in Gallatin, where the Fellowship of Christian Athletes is having its annual golf tournament. Earlier today, I was able to catch up with one of the all-time great Nashvillians in the game of golf. That would be Brandt Snedeker, and I think you'll enjoy this interview. This question a ton, so I wanted to go straight to the horse's mouth on this. Talk about injury-wise what you've been dealing with and why we have not seen you on the PGA Tour recently.
Yeah, I have a sternum surgery in December. I think most people in Nashville will remember the Steve McNair surgery back in the late 90s. So I had the same injury he did, only I didn't get it from playing football. I got it from bad genes, I guess, from my parents. I don't know. So, but luckily, locally, there's a guy named Dr. Burton Elrod at Elite who performed the surgery. And so after doing a bunch of research and trying to figure out the best way to fix this problem, he was the guy that ultimately I pretty much had to talk into doing the surgery. And so luckily, fingers crossed, everything went well. I am about 14 and 15 weeks post-surgery right now, feeling really good, starting to hit golf balls. And so hopefully have all my scans again May 1st. And once we do that, we'll be able to check all the boxes and go back out to start hitting golf balls with no restrictions. And once that happens, I look forward to getting back on tour, hopefully sometime this summer, if everything goes according to plan, and get back out to doing what I love to do, because I am too young to retire, and I figured out I am unemployable. So those two things have got me going back to golf.
You and I do have something in common. We're unemployable.
Yes.
So this may be a stupid question, but when something like the Masters is on and you're not playing in it, are you watching religiously, or is it hard to do that?
It's a little bit of both. You know, I get a little depressed because I'm not there, and but I'm also watching to see how my friends are doing, see how they're playing. I'm still a huge fan of the game. I still love the game of golf. It's been giving me so much, so I'm still intricately involved in what's going on. I love to see who's playing well and how the courses are playing and what's going on. So I watched it very intently. I was so happy for John Rahm. I thought he played phenomenal. He probably played the best golf of anybody that week and deserved to win. And so it was really cool to see him do that, especially with the wave of tee time he got. He got a really bad break with when he teed off. He got some really bad weather, and he just played phenomenal. So I think the right guy won, and it was fun to watch him come down the stretch and get it done.
Nothing seemed to faze him.
No, he's just he's a special kid. You know, I played with him when he was a senior or junior at Arizona State in Phoenix. And I remember the TaylorMade guy came to me and talked to me at the beginning of the week. Hey, I want you to look at this guy and tell me what you think. And I called him on Saturday after I played with him. I said, oh, my goodness. I've never seen a college kid play this good. And it was just phenomenal. You know, and he's a great kid, and we're lucky to have him on the PGA Tour because he does stuff the right way. He's super nice. He's got a great personality and very approachable, and just a great ambassador for the game of golf.
For me, sitting on the couch, it was sad to watch how much Tiger is struggling. I feel bad for him. What's it like for you when you see that?
Yeah, it's tough. You know, we've texted a few times back and forth. I just check on and see how he's doing, just for quality of life purposes. You know, golf's all secondary at this point. You know, I want to make sure he can walk and, you know, be a dad and do the stuff he wants to do. And it's just you know, it's just tough when you're an athlete and you've done at the highest level and your body's not letting you do it anymore. It's really tough to watch. And the competitor in Tiger, you know, is probably his biggest fault right now, because he still knows he can do it. If he had a golf cart, he could probably still win golf tournaments. You know, it's just his legs not letting him be able to walk. You know, and so it's tough to watch. And I'm hoping this last surgery can kind of give him some relief and get him to where he can walk a little bit. But you know, if there's ever anybody that deserves to have a golf cart, it's that guy. Because I still love to watch him play. I still love to watch him hit golf balls, and he can do it. It's still such a high level. Like, there's really not that much off. It's just the walking that's getting him right now.
What do you think is going through his mind right now?
I think he's in a place where he understands his place in the game. He's kind of the Jack Nicklaus of our era. He's kind of the torch holder for the PGA Tour. And I think he feels an obligation to be out there still playing. You know, I think he still wants to play in the big tournaments, and I think he feels like he can and still can win golf tournaments. It's just a matter of getting that leg to where he can get around for 72 holes. And he's been he's changed over the years. He's really turned into, you know, kind of a guy you can lean on and ask questions and really kind of help you through decisions and what he thinks about when he's playing. Used to be early on in his career, man, we couldn't get that out of him. And so I think he's really kind of come full circle and enjoyed, kind of enjoying this part of his career where he's kind of the godfather almost in first sense for the PGA Tour for a lot of the young guys. And I think it's fun to see him kind of change into that role.
Brandt, when you take everybody at their absolute A game, because there's a skill level on that tour I can't even imagine the level of greatness that's out there. When everybody is at their top game, is there anybody better than him?
No. I mean, I love Rory. I've seen Rory at his best, and he's phenomenal. There's probably never going to be a better driver of the golf ball in my generation than Rory McIlroy. It's just the most impressive thing in the world to watch. But when Tiger was at his best, he just did not have a weakness. Like there was not one thing in his game that was not the best on tour, which is impossible to say, but that's the way it was. And from driving the golf ball to iron play to the ability to move the golf ball either way to the short game to the putting and to the thinking. The probably most underrated thing is his thinking, and the way he can think around the golf course is just second to none. And so, John's an unbelievable player right now. John's probably the best player in the world, in my opinion, right now. And even when John's at his best, I don't think he can hang with Tiger. I just don't. He was just so dominant, and he was, the longest guy on tour, the best iron player on tour, the best short game on tour, and the best clutch putter on tour. Pretty hard to beat him, So it was, you knew he had to be off if you were going to beat him.
Yeah. So, in particular, on that Sunday, the final round of the Masters, I'm just floored by what Phil Mickelson showed us. That even at that age, there's still a lot in that tank.
Yeah, he's unique in the sense that he is always one shot away from thinking he's the best player in the world. He's got this ability to flip a switch where he can go from playing terrible golf to hitting one shot and be, okay, I've got it, and then go and make 7 or 8, 9 birdies in a row. And he is one of those guys that just has an immense amount of self-confidence once he figures out one feeling or one thought or whatever it might be. He just has this innate ability and of just hitting these phenomenal golf shots and just kind of keep doing it. And the thing that probably Phil runs into the most is probably his biggest weakness too, because he can think he hit every shot in the world. He cannot hit away from pins. He does not lean on his short game a lot, even though he's got the best short game I've ever seen. That kind of stuff where he just feels like there's not, it's tough when you have a Ferrari and then you're going, no, I just need to be a Honda Accord for the next 3 holes. It's really tough to do that when you have that ability.
It's funny, I used to have a Honda Accord. It didn't help my golf game.
Yeah.
One last thing about the Masters. When we watch it, they just keep showing this putt goes in, now we go to 16, this putt goes in. They make it look way easier than it is.
Yeah, you're not seeing, I always tell people, when you're seeing golf on TV, you're seeing guys that are putting the best, they're playing the best that weekend. If you're not seeing those, if you're seeing somebody like me who's in the middle of the pack, those putts aren't going in. We're not making that many of them. We're making some mistakes. But when you're seeing those guys late on Sunday, it's because they're putting really good. They're hitting great putts. Augusta's really tough in the fact that you don't make, they show putts going in, but you really don't make that many putts there. You've got to be in the right spots on the right greens and have the right situations for them to really make a lot. This year is kind of, they made a lot more because there was not a lot of fire in them. There was not a lot of, because there's so much moisture on the golf course, guys were able to be way more aggressive than they normally would have been. You kind of saw it the first day. And then early on the second day, it was really starting to firm up. The greens were getting really crispy, and then all of a sudden the rain came in, just totally changed the golf course. So that golf course is more of okay, I've got to be in the right position on this green to have a chance of making the putt. Otherwise, it's just full defense, give me 2 putts and get me out of here. So that's why that golf course is such a second shot golf course. That's what people fail to realize is everybody thinks it's a par 5, make all the birdies and eagles. It's not. It's totally a second shot golf course of where you leave the ball on the green to be able to be aggressive on the putt. Otherwise, you're just trying to 2-putt and move on.
And by the time I get there, it just doesn't matter. So help me to understand how this whole LIV thing has happened and how it got this ugly.
Yeah, I think it came about by It originally started not with a Saudi-backed league. It started with a hedge fund conglomerate up in Chicago and New York, maybe trying to do a rival thing. And it never really got too much legs. And then all of a sudden, it kind of came about. The deal kind of went under for a minute because they couldn't find a TV partner. And then all of a sudden, the Live Saudi came together and, just decided to throw a bunch of money and see if they could make this thing work. And I've kind of been I'll always be a big proponent of the PGA Tour. I'm a huge fan of what they've provided in my life. I think they do great things in every community we're in. So I kind of was never going down that road and didn't want to know about it. And it's been really unfortunate, to say the least. I think guys made decisions based on promises and guaranteed money, and that's never been a thing with the PGA Tour. I think it's one thing that I've tried to explain to guys. There are three big things I think that are kind of a problem with this model, in my opinion. One would be, one of the great things about the PGA Tour is you don't make any money unless you make a cut. And there's a lot of pride in that. I think probably one of the most important records we have on the PGA Tour is Tiger Woods' cut record. It will never be beat. I think he made 122 straight cuts. So it's just unimaginable to go that long without missing a cut. So the guys that are playing the best make the cut, make money. So that creates a system where guys who are playing bad lose their card and get pushed off, and the new guys on tour push the old guys to get better and give them a better product down the road. Number two is we are independent contractors, so we can pick and choose where we play. So there's an innate amount or innate dollar figure worth being your own boss. If my daughter has a birthday, I don't have to play that week. I can be home.
Right.
That's worth to me a lot of money. It's worth a lot to me. Let's say set my schedule. Hey, I'm going to play 15 times this year or whatever it might be. They don't have that. So they have a boss for the first time ever. And number three is every community we play in, the PGA Tour is a 501c3, so we're a nonprofit organization. So everything we make on that tour event goes back into the local charities. So, for example, like the Valero Texas Open in San Antonio, they give over $15 million that week to charity for us being there. So that's in every community we go to. So we've given over $2.5 billion to charity since our inception now. And I take pride in that. I think it makes me feel really good to know that every time I'm going to play in a community, the local community is benefiting from us being there. And so I just love that fact of what we do for a living. Live is a for-profit model, so that's not a thing. It's not possible. And so those are kind of the three big hang-ups for me of why I would never think about doing it. And it seems to me it's kind of hard to turn your back on an organization that made you who you are. I'd be nobody without the PGA Tour. I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't have a job. So it seems kind of, for me, somebody's been on tour for 20, got tour card 26, so 16 years, 17 years, to turn around and turn my back on them seems kind of not the kind of person I want to be, and not the kind of thing I want to teach my kids, And so I was just never really kind of enticed by it. And I try to explain to guys on the other side of it my thinking behind it and why I think it's not a great model, and I don't think it'll last, is because, you got 48 guys playing, the same 48 guys playing every week. There's no real incentive for those guys to go practice when they're home. A lot of those guys got money up front, and I have to practice when I'm home so I can go beat the new guys on tour. Every week we got 125, 100 guys trying to beat me, and so I've got to go home and practice my tail off. If I've already been given all this money up front, then what incentive do I have to go practice? None. And so when you see the same guys every week, you're only playing 48 guys. It just seems like it turns more into an exhibition than it does like a. I love PGA Tour having Monday qualifiers, having 50 new members every year coming out pushing us to get better, and you don't have that over there. So I'll be interested to see what happens with it. I think there's a path forward for both tours. I think there's a path forward for maybe a combining at some point if concessions are made. But I'm really happy with where the tour is. I think we're in a very strong position. We've got great partners. We're associated with great companies like ServPro, who's sponsoring here today. So when you have those partnerships, it really solidifies your position. And so we're fortunate to have that. And so, I just was never really kind of keen on doing it. And then, the whole Saudi thing really kind of turned me off from it. I'm not trying to tell anybody to get on my soapbox, preach about anything, but at the end of the day, they would have been my employer, and I would have to sign on a dotted line, and they would be the one putting the money up. And I've never had a boss before. I don't think I can have one now.
I want to ask one last thing. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough. This is really going to age me. I watched the playoff round when Lou Graham beat John Mahaffey in '73 and won the U.S. Open. And then 4 years later, he was within an eyelash of doing it again. There are people out there that are saying, I watched Brandt Snedeker win the FedEx Cup. And those are two great moments of Nashville golf history. How good does it feel to have somebody say you're in that category?
Yeah, I don't really ever think about it like that because Lou Graham's Lou Graham, and then, we've been fortunate to have a bunch of great golfers. Dr. Kerry Middlecoff back in the 30s and 40s was probably our best golfer. He won a couple, 3 Masters, I believe, and a few majors. I think he won 6 majors overall. So we've been fortunate to have great golf in Tennessee. The competitor in me still believes there's still stuff there. There's still stuff for me to do. And I've been more reflective when I've been injured here the last few months and realized, kind of my role in Tennessee and our golf history. But I'm not one of those people that kind of pats myself on the back and says, you're awesome. Way to go. Congratulations. I'm more people looking forward. And I think my dad would whip my butt if I ever did that. And so he's not here anymore, but he would totally whip my butt for doing that. So, I'm always kind of looking forward to the next thing and trying to figure out how to get back to winning those tournaments and being the kind of golfer I know I can be. So, I've just been very fortunate and blessed. I'm a Nashville guy through and through. Went to Vanderbilt, went to Montgomery Bell Academy here in town, and so lucky to live up in this community. Grew up in this community back when it was smaller, and enjoyed the fruits of all the people moving here now. And so, it's just been a great life for me on the golf course. As I joke about all the time, I'm one of the few people in the world that gets to do what he loves every day. I love the game of golf. It's my profession, but it's my passion in life. And so very few people get to do that, just like you just talk about sports.
Amen.
Which was your passion.
Absolutely.
So very blessed in that atmosphere, in that way in my life. And so just try to make sure people understand how lucky I am. And I've got a brother that makes sure I understand that too, because he has a real job. So he's always better to make sure I understand, hey, you don't want to be on this side of it. Trust me. So
Amen.
Very fortunate.
Amen. Thank you for doing this. Get healthy.
Yeah, thank you so much, George. And always great listening to you. Been a big fan forever.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Brandt Snedeker joining us here on the show. When we come back, we'll learn a little bit more about the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and find out why are they doing this golf tournament. Stay tuned. We're back in a moment.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
So we are back at Foxland Links, which is a beautiful golf setting in the Gallatin, Tennessee area as part of today's festivities around the Fellowship of Christian Athletes golf tournament. They had a morning session. They've had an afternoon session. It's been a lot of fun for me. First of all, the weather has turned very nice, which we all appreciate. And it was good to see 6 or 7 good friends out here earlier today, some of them with old BGA ties. Our buddy Doug Gold from Wilson Bank and Trust was here. Just been a lot of fun. But there obviously is a serious reason for all of this. And with that in mind, we sat down earlier today with the man running this golf tournament from the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Here is Jason McCormick. Jason, obviously this is a big day for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Kind of talk about where the money from this golf event goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so ultimately the money raised at this event will go to scholarship athletes and coaches from around the greater Nashville area, to scholarship them to go to FCA camp, where they will hear the gospel of Jesus Christ being preached.
So in all of what's going on in FCA, kind of talk about, I guess there's some restructuring going on right now, and I'm going to move your boom mic just a little closer there so they can really hear you. Tell me a little bit about the restructuring and what you all are trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so for the last 10 years, I have served as the area director in northern Middle Tennessee. So that's the Sumner, the Robertson, Macon, and Trousdale County. For the last 3 months, I have transitioned into the greater Nashville, the Davidson, and the Williamson County area. With 10 years experience in this area, now having 15 staff that serve, our ratio from staff to schools right now is about 9 to 10 in this area. So the vision is to have that happen in the Davidson and Williamson County area as well, to where we have 1 staff per 10 schools.
All of this because Steve Robinson says I've had enough.
Well, Steve is a legend. There's no doubt about it. Thankful for him.
He's also a BGA man. What would you expect?
Well, they actually, I hear that amen in the background. Yeah. BGA has actually produced some pretty incredible giants these days, and obviously Steve is one of them. And grateful for the legend of Steve Robinson. 1 staff in the entire state of Tennessee, and to think there's over 100 staff in Tennessee now because of the foundation Steve Robinson laid.
I know I've dealt with a former Vanderbilt football player, a guy that got a ton of pub when he agreed to sign there, Tim Bryant.
Love him. Yeah, Tim Bryant. If you ever heard him speak or preach.
Hey, he can turn it on.
Holy cow. The guy is absolutely blessed, and he's got this voice that when he starts speaking and preaching, man, people listen. I don't have that.
Well, he's also big enough you don't want to mess with him.
Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm scared of him, but yeah, but I do love him. Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about some of the things that go on in a year's time in FCA. What's important? What kind of events are important?
Yeah, well, George, here's the thing is FCA is the only ministry that is legally allowed in our public schools as far as a club is concerned. So if you think about a student-led club on our public or private school campus, FCA has the right to be in the schools to bring, obviously, religion into our public schools. And so throughout the year, we want to make sure that we're training our students to lead on their campus, to be the light, to be the truth, and to be the hope of Jesus Christ in our schools. Not only that, but we also have camps throughout our year. And camps are a really big part of what we do. God is in the business of changing lives. And if you can get a kid away from his everyday life and get him to a camp, God can really do a work. And then, of course, we have to fundraise for all we do because we're missionaries.
How rewarding is it when you feel like you make a difference in somebody?
Yeah, George, I told this story this morning. In 1991, I was in between my 8th and 9th grade year, and someone scholarshiped me to go to a camp. My parents could not afford to go. And so someone scholarshiped me to be able to go to a camp. It radically changed my life, and it changed my life forever. And if I could meet that person that scholarshiped me to go to camp, that radically changed my life, like that would mean the world to me. And to think that I am getting to do something positive in somebody's life that could impact their eternity, not just their life here on earth, but their eternity. That means the world to me, and that's why we do what we do.
So if somebody out there is watching this and they say, I'd like to be that invisible person that helps somebody, that really changes their life, how do they do it?
Yeah. Well, first place I'd go to FCA.org. I'd go to the website. I would look up the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, a 70-year-old ministry that has been around for a long time, that has the history behind it, a 4-star navigation, so you know that your money is being invested where they say it's going to be invested, and ultimately just being a good steward with the resources that has been given to FCA. So I would go to FCA.org, look up the local area so that you know that your money is being used in that local area that you live in.
Beautiful. Thank you for taking the time to come on with us.
Absolutely, George. Thank you for the opportunity.
After the break, we'll have the stat of the day where Kelly and I both end up getting embarrassed. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or eric@rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication. And we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
We are back at Foxland Links. Great setup for us today, where the Fellowship of Christian Athletes holding its annual golf tournament. And a lot of you heard from Jason McCormick where a lot of the funds go. Kelly, were you able to hear the Brandt Snedeker interview?
I did not. I had to go do something, George. So I could not hear it. I didn't realize Brandt Snedeker. I didn't realize he had won 9 times on the PGA Tour. That's pretty impressive. I mean, you look at how hard it is to win out there every week, and how hard it is just to finish. In that final round, those 18 holes is pretty tough, and that's pretty impressive. 9 wins on the PGA Tour. It's really impressive.
So the injury, Kelly, that has curtailed his career for a while is very similar to what happened to Steve McNair. It's a sternum injury. And I remember exactly what caused Steve's injury. It was a brutal hit from a Kansas City Chief. It was at the stadium in Nashville. And so this has been a real process for him to try to get back, and he thinks he's going to be able to get back by July.
Yeah, I did hear him say a sternum injury, and I can't imagine having a sternum injury like that. It's got to be. It's just like a rib, I would think. Every time you try to do something, or if you cough, or the bad thing about it is when you go to the bathroom, it hurts your ribs to do that. I mean, I don't know about the surgery. Did he have surgery? Did he have surgery or no? It's just one of those deals where you just got to rest.
He's going to have surgery.
He's had some procedures done.
Okay.
And he told me that for a long time, if he would go out and just like hit range balls,
wow,
that the pain would start to get there, and then the minute he stopped, it would go away. And he was like, I've got no chance if this is the way it's going to be. But apparently they've been able to find the right combination of things to get him back. And he feels like there's a chance this summer, and he pinpointed in the interview July as a timetable that he's hoping for. And all of us who pay any attention to golf, want him to have that shot.
I've absolutely wondered where he is. I haven't seen him, so that was really cool to understand. A sternum injury, I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine what Steve McNair went through, and he actually played through a lot of that stuff. So that's impressive. When you have something going on with your ribs or your musculoskeletal system, that's tough. And I couldn't imagine having to swing a golf club with a sore or bruised sternum. I don't know how you do it. Like, that's impossible.
I think it has been. I'll say this: he didn't shy away at all, Billy, from the questions about LIV, and it's pretty obvious he's no fan.
He is certainly not a fan of LIV, and I wasn't surprised to hear that from him. But it kind of tells you, the amount of golfers that aren't a fan. And he talked about the 501c3, where it's a non-for-profit. Is that's PGA, but the Live Golf that doesn't work over there. I mean, that's not how they operate. So I think Brandt is hopefully the majority of American golfers that are still on the PGA Tour, and they don't have anything to do with Live. They don't want to have anything to do with it.
Boy, I wonder.
I wish I would have. I actually wish I would have heard that. I had to, like I said, I had to go do something, but I was wanting you to ask about the Live deal because I just don't see how any of the guys, Justin Thomas and Rory McIlroy, they've all been, outspoken advocates of the PGA Tour and what, this Live deal is. I don't understand how there's no competition. Everybody makes the cut. That's what makes the PGA Tour so successful for me, because if you're not very good on the PGA Tour, you're not going to make any money because you're not going to make any cuts,
And he talks about that in the interview. If you get a chance, take a look at it later. Yeah. It's a good interview.
I will.
Okay, now to the problem. There is such a thing as stat of the day, and take it from there.
Stat of the day, it's brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, also Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, let's check out what David's got cooked up for today. There it is. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson have won 94 playoff games together, the third most by a trio in NBA postseason history. Can you name the trio of teammates with the most wins in NBA postseason history?
Okay, Kelly, let's try the obvious, which would be Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, because remember, to win an NBA title, you got to win 16 games.
Yep.
They did it 6 times. They've got to be one of these. The question is, who is the third Bull in that list? And that's the tough part of it. I don't think it's Will Perdue. I don't think it's John Paxson.
It wouldn't be. No, it would not be. It cannot be Dennis Rodman because he was only there for 3 of them, correct?
Right. I think he was there only for a couple. Tony Kukoc, I don't think it is. So Kelly, let's do it this way. Is it Jordan, Pippen, and somebody?
Okay, so I've got a guess. Can I guess here?
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Won 94 playoff games together.
Can I have a guess here, George? What about let's say Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale?
Yeah.
Gosh.
What? Okay, so then that might have to take us to the Bill Russell era.
Well, before you go further back, it is more recent than both of those guesses.
Those teams aren't even the second winningest trio.
So it's
good Lord.
Of the last 10 years?
Further back just a little bit. Well, yeah. In the 2000s era.
Okay. Is it the San Antonio Spurs group?
Ooh.
Yes, it is.
That's a good one.
Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili.
That was good.
Okay.
All George needed was early 2000s.
Second on that list is the Lakers with Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I think it was Cooper.
Cooper or Worthy?
I think it was Cooper. I'll have to go back and check.
Interesting.
Who's Cooper?
Michael Cooper?
Michael Cooper?
I'd say it'd have to be James Worthy, would it not?
I'll go check it for you guys, and I'll double check it. But the Spurs are number one with 126.
Wow.
Pretty good.
That's a very interesting question.
Interesting how they weren't even brought up in y'all's thought process until
well, you got to give us a little bit more time.
Kelly's
or the hint.
Kelly's been nagging on me about just having one answer. So this question, I gave it to him one answer. I didn't ask for
right up Kelly's alley.
And second, I said, give me first. There we go.
I'm a fan.
So you're a little intimidated by Kelly.
No, I'm just going to cater to him. We're the new guys together. I want Kelly to succeed at Stat of the Day.
Really?
So...
See, I don't think Billy gives a damn.
Oh no, he does. I had a good pick. I mean, it's we would have figured that one out. George did.
It took a while.
Yeah,
I would have sworn it was Jordan and Pippen and somebody.
But that's the only two guys that were there the whole time. That's why I would have not have thought of those guys.
Well, yeah, you're right, because initially it was Paxson, who was the long-range shooter who hit everything in sight. And then it was Steve Kerr.
Right.
And Ron Harper was there for a while.
Correct.
Bill Cartwright was there for a while. Wow.
That's memory lane right there.
Man, I'm surprised none of them were there.
That's why I would not have guessed the Bulls, because it's just Pippen and Jordan were together for all six of them. So I didn't think of anybody else.
Okay, so are we now ready for,
We are. It's
stuff?
time. It's time for Kelly's World of Football.
Let's see the intro.
It's a moment you have breathlessly awaited. It's time for Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. As shocking as this may sound, Kelly Holcomb's World of Football has sponsors. It's brought to you in part by Baird Financial with Yaz Hassan and Justin Oldham, and by State Farm Insurance, located in Murfreesboro, through agent Celeste Middleton.
Man, it's just getting so high tech. So, Kelly, you have not been with us since last Wednesday. We had the Barry Trotz Lunch Sports Speaker Series on Thursday. So you and I have really not been able to talk. The NFL Players Association released a study that they had done about artificial turf injuries, grass surface injuries. What did you learn out of that?
Well, I mean, it's what you look for. Some say the statistics are kind of the same, and then you get others. I know for me, and I know if you went and asked every NFL player which surface they would rather play on, would be natural grass. I mean, there's nothing like going out there on a Sunday or a Monday or a Thursday or whenever these guys play now. They play seems like every day of the week. But nothing like going out and smelling the grass. I mean, it feels like you're back in high school, or, if you were fortunate enough to play on grass in college. At least the synthetic surfaces nowadays are not like the AstroTurf, the Houston Astros and the Houston Oilers used to play on, and then it got out everywhere. And when I was at middle, that's what we played on. It was just a concrete field with a small, tiny slit of AstroTurf on it, and it was awful. I hated that garbage. You had so many concussions with that. At least now they've got these things where the synthetic surface is like grass. I mean, obviously they've got crushed up rubber inside of it, but they glue it down, so it's still on a hard surface. I know everybody would rather play on grass, but when you talk about cost and things like that, George, it costs up front to pay for the artificial turfs, but then you don't have to buy paint. You don't have to paint the lines on the field. It cuts down on maintenance. You can have multiple things on there. It's like, some of these places where, you go to some of these pro cities, they're starting to let soccer come on some of the fields and do things like that. And when you're in high school, you see a lot of high schools now. I know Williamson County is getting every one of their high schools in Williamson County. They're getting them artificial turf. So, you can do so many things on it. You can have band things on it. You can have soccer practice or soccer games on it. If your baseball field, gets watered out, rained out, I mean, the baseball players can go on that surface. So there's a lot of things you can do with that, and I understand why they do it, but I think that has a lot to do with a lot of injuries. I don't care what some of the stats that I looked at. Some of them are even, but then you start looking, and then last year, it was a significant number where there were guys getting ankle injuries and high ankle sprains on artificial turf. And then when you go to grass, it's just not that way, because your cleats, when they get stuck and somebody hits you, the grass and the dirt and the mud and everything is going to give. Well, you get on an artificial surface and you get those cleats stuck in and somebody hits you on the inside of the leg and there's no give. I mean, that's pretty tough. So I guess some of it has to do with the cleats that you wear and the things that help you stay up. But I know for myself, and I know for everybody in the NFL that plays, they want a safe workspace and a workplace, and they would rather have grass.
Have you had an injury that you could say this is simply because of turf?
No, I could not run that fast, George. So it really didn't. I mean, that's honest. I mean, it really didn't. Now, there were times that I broke my leg one time. I messed up my ankles. I don't think that would have mattered, whether I was on grass or turf. I don't think certain maybe positions. Now with the quarterbacks being as athletic as they are, and you got the Lamar Jacksons of the world, you got Jalen Hurts and all these guys that can run, it might have an effect on those guys. But for a guy that was a straight pocket passer that just moved, it really didn't matter to me. But I'm going to go back and say, if you asked every player in the NFL, it would be close to 100%. It probably wouldn't be 100%, but it'd be close. I think those guys would rather play on grass.
Okay, college football made a move kind of quietly, and I guess when I say quietly, it's because with the NBA and the NHL playoffs going on, this sort of took a backstage. The games have gotten too long on the college level. The average time, I think I saw, guys help me because I wrote it down for you all, 3 hours and was it 32 minutes?
3 hours and 22 minutes.
32. I saw
32.
There you go. Yeah, this past season. Yeah.
And what the networks want is a 3 hour and 15-minute game. Yeah. They want to be able to take you from the 11 o'clock in the morning to the 2:30 in the afternoon to the 6 o'clock to the 9:30 or 9:15 games so that they can run a quadruple header of games. Kelly, you know as well as I do, some of the college stuff has gotten into the 4 hour range.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so one of the moves they've made, a little bit like baseball, was they came out a few days ago and said, okay, in the future, when a team makes a first down, like the NFL, the clock will continue to run. And I'm like, what took you so long? This should have happened 10 years ago.
No, I agree with you. And the reason that they're having 4 hour games, George, is because everybody throws the ball all over the ballpark. So when you have incomplete passes, the clock stops, and it's going to do the same thing. But I like the rule, too, because it speeds the game up. Like you said, it's like the pitch clock in baseball. It speeds the game up. Now, you got to understand that. And they'll have to go into these meetings, the quarterbacks especially, to understand that stuff. But I think it's going to go back to the same rules under 2 minutes. So where you get a first down, the clock will stop. And the clock only stops until they get the chains and stuff moved. But in the NFL, that's why when you get down, it's so tough in the last 2 minutes or last minutes of the game, because it doesn't matter if you get a first down, the clock is not stopping. They're going to do that in college, but I think it will speed the game up, George, because there's a lot of lag time in college football. You're absolutely right. it's hard to hold attention spans for 3 hours and 32 minutes. I understand that they've got some really good games but then you get those bad games and you get a team that's behind and throwing the ball so much, and then they get a first down and then the clock stops, and then we got more stoppages. So it's going to help the college game. It is going to speed the college game up, but it's something that the coaches will have to talk to the quarterbacks, and they're going to have to talk to the whole team about, hey, these clocks are not stopping now until you get to 2 minutes. So we're going to have to, get up to the ball. And I don't think it wouldn't matter for a team like Tennessee, because Tennessee plays so fast. And a lot of these teams now in colleges are playing fast as well. So I don't know if it's going to bother them, but I think it's a good rule to put in place to kind of speed the games up.
And you got to imagine the big TV networks like ESPN and Fox got a little tired of their late overtime games, whether it's the 11 a.m. slot, they get cut off, they go to the next game. And then people got to find ESPN Plus or wherever the end of that game is being played. So, I mean, you got to believe the networks had a big say in this, at least a decent one, saying, hey, we're losing viewers because we got to go to the next game.
Yeah, although they're not cutting any commercials out.
Right.
Much you can take to the bank.
You can bet on that, absolutely. The networks they're going to get what they want, because they're the ones that's paying the money, to spend out all these millions and whatever they make, because they hold the upper hand. And like you said, they're not gonna cut out those commercials, but they've got to do something with these games in college. And I like it. I think it's just like I like the rules in baseball. I think it's going to help college football.
Kelly, the other thing that nobody ever talked about, and this really showed up in Josh Heupel's first year at Tennessee, where he was trying to go up tempo, but he didn't have any defense, and his defense at the end of games got shredded because they were exhausted. What's the number of plays on the college level where, in your mind, there becomes a law of diminishing returns? If your defense is out there for X number of plays, you're in big trouble.
Man, I wouldn't know the actual number, George. I just know this, that defensive coaches hate. They can say all they want to, and if you're scoring, it's fine. But when you go out there and you throw 3 passes in a row and you take literally 18 seconds off the clock, that is tough for a defensive side coaching staff, because they can't stand that. They want you to be able to take some clock off, and they don't have to be out there as long. But when you're doing stuff like that, now last year, with Tennessee having the number 1 offense in college football, it really didn't matter. I mean, their defensive coaches were loving every minute of it, because they were scoring points. And when you're scoring points as a defensive coach, you don't have to hold them many times. But when you're not scoring points and you're throwing the ball 3 times and having 3 incompletions, and you're taking 18, 20 seconds off the clock, that's just not getting it done. So I don't know what the number would be, George, but it's tough on a defensive staff when you're trying to go fast and your offense is not good enough to do that, and you're having to hold them. That kind of sucks for a defensive staff. It really does. The defensive side of the ball.
Now to an issue that really, from the 1960s until a year ago, you never heard much about, and that was players caught gambling on games. Yep. Alex Karras, Paul Hornung, both suspended by the NFL for a year in the 60s. That was a really controversial thing back then. A year ago, Calvin Ridley with the Jacksonville Jaguars got suspended. And lo and behold, last week, Kelly, while you were gone, the NFL, I guess, caught 6 other players in some form or fashion. And I mean, I think we all know the gambling is out there everywhere. It's very easy. Even a moron like me could figure out, the mechanisms, the apps, all the stuff that goes on with it. And so a bunch of players are getting caught.
Yeah, and I said this morning to you, the Pete Rose interview was unbelievable. You did the other day, but I mean, he's been paying for that for 30-something years, being in the Hall of Fame. I understand that he bet on his own team. I get that, but hey, you've had that through the duration of sports, and these players that they've got now. I mean, it's so easy now, George, and betting is so prevalent in our society. I mean, now it's just an open thing where you got DraftKings and all these other betting betting websites and all this stuff. I mean, it's so easy. And I will say this from firsthand experience. I looked at the policy that the NFL's got, and they make it harder on the employees of the NFL than they do the players. But I've seen that when I was playing, and nobody ever talked about that. And I don't know if the rules were the same, but there's been so much things that I've seen. Like, I've been on a plane, and it said that you're not supposed to do that stuff on a plane, but I've been on a plane where everybody it was just $100, and I've seen stacks of $100 bills of guys playing cards, and that's just guys buying time. They used to do it in the locker room. I've been into locker rooms where they'd shoot craps. I've been into stuff like that. So it's a competitive nature for guys, and they've always done it. I can remember when I was at a place, and on Tuesdays is off day still. I can remember guys would go to a casino, in another state. So that's just part of being in sports, and these guys have some money, and they like to gamble. I mean, seem like they've been doing it their whole lives, and I didn't realize the policies that were in place, but I don't know if you can stop that. I really don't. I think the guys got to understand. I know that there was 2 guys that got just 6-game suspensions, and then the other guys were indefinitely. I think that Jamison Williams and the Berryhill kid that were wide receivers at Detroit, I think they weren't betting on games, but they were doing other things in the facility. So they just got 6 games. So, I don't know where it stops, but, with all this gambling that's going on, and with everything that's out now, and they're just making gambling out in the open, that's a tough deal. You just have to know, if you're a player, that you just can't do it. You got to watch what you're doing.
Kelly, here is, to me, that there are a couple of things that need to be brought up. In the interview that I did with Pete Rose, he states that he only bet on the Reds to win. And for the moment, I'm going to take him at his word.
Right.
However, there are others out there who say that that's not the way it happened. If you remember, and I certainly do, because it was, as I was getting my sports talk career started, it was the issue.
Yep.
All you had to do was open the phones, and boom. And people would say, oh, that's a great show. And you did no preparation. You just said, should Pete Rose be allowed in or not?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, when he signed the agreement with baseball, part of the agreement for this, quote, lifetime suspension was that baseball would not reveal any of their findings. Well, some of that's gotten a little messy because there have been some things revealed. But what we have never heard from baseball was whether Pete Rose bet only on the Reds or against his team when he was the manager. That's a big chunk of this, that if we knew the total answer,
right,
then we might feel differently. We might also say, wait a minute, it's okay for the league to take money from FanDuel or DraftKings or whoever.
That's right.
But this guy's had a 34-year suspension. The NFL, on the other hand, views it as a 1-year deal with the right for the player to seek reinstatement. So, Billy, I see you up there ready to yap. Go.
Aaron Rodgers and the Jets have agreed to the mega trade, sending 4-time MVP Rodgers to the Jets for major compensation. The deal includes a second-rounder this year, a first-round pick swap this year, and a conditional first-rounder in 24. So that's the deal. The money hasn't been released, but that is the deal.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's make sure we got all this right. Kelly, this, of course, is under the umbrella, and I think he did it this way on purpose. I think Aaron did this so it would happen during your segment.
Well, I saw it. My wife and myself were out, and she said, did Aaron Rodgers get traded? And I said, it hasn't happened yet, but she said, I think he did. And she said, who is he going to? And I said, the Jets. So obviously it went through, and I told you it would probably, because everybody's been talking about it, and they were talking about maybe Thursday or Friday it happening, but obviously it happened earlier. But we knew that something was going to happen with that. That's where he said he wanted to go. I don't know what the holdup was. Obviously, there was some contract discussions and contract negotiations that didn't fit what the Packers wanted, and obviously they got it fixed. So I think he's going to a really, really good football team, a young football team, and I certainly think he can help them.
So based off of what Billy said, George, just to clear things up for you, the Packers will get one of the Jets' second-round picks. They have numerous ones, so we've got to figure out which one exactly they're getting. They're getting a pick swap. So Green Bay will move from 15 up to 13, and the Jets will slide back from 13 to 15, and then a conditional first-round pick for next year's draft in 2024.
Did it really need to take this long? I mean, this does not seem like curing cancer. But I do wonder if the Jets played a little four-corner stall, or let me take it back. If Green Bay played a little four-corner stall, saying, okay, the longer this goes, the more likely the Jets are to give in on the first-round draft pick. And really what they came up with was some sort of compromise. Kelly, this could have been done weeks ago.
It could have, but I think what you just said is exactly what happened. I mean, they wanted the Jets to concede to what they wanted them to have, when it sounds like a pretty good deal. I mean, but it's just going to be interesting to see how all this unfolds for both teams, how Rodgers, because I've seen this happen, and we've both seen this happen, where somebody just goes, they're not a fit. And then obviously with Green Bay, with the Love kid, see how good he is. They're hoping that he's, I don't know if he's a Brett Favre or an Aaron Rodgers, but I'm certainly sure that they're hoping like that. I read an article where the David Bakhtiari guy that hasn't played much the last couple of years, who's their Pro Bowl left tackle, said, hey, it's when you have this, it's going to be a rebuilding year. I don't care what they say. And he's absolutely right. When Aaron Rodgers took over from Brett Favre, he went 6-10 his first year, but then they were in the Super Bowl 2 years later. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds for both teams and if it's a right fit for both teams.
Adam Schefter has revealed the full trade compensation. So here we go. The Jets get obviously Aaron Rodgers, pick number 15 in this year's NFL draft, and a 2023 fifth-round pick, number 170. The Packers get number 13 this year in the first round, a 2023 second-round pick, which is number 42, a sixth-round pick, number 207, a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first-round pick if Aaron Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps for the Jets this year.
Oh, wow.
I think Green Bay might have won that trade.
Yeah, that's what they were holding out for, George. You see, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, they're trying to believe. You got to believe.
You got to believe the Jets were going to do essentially anything to get Rodgers. I mean, I think that's why it took so long. Maybe the Jets they didn't want to cross the line, but they might have just crossed that line. I agree. The Packers won that.
Are they providing like a dark room?
That was probably a stipulation.
What I am curious about, Kelly, now that he no longer, as of, I don't know, an hour ago, 10 minutes ago, he's no longer a Packer. Do some of the Packers in that locker room come out and say, you know what? I got tired of his crap. I got tired of him holding our team hostage. Nobody would ever say it back then, and I get it. I understand why. But now, will anybody come out and rip him?
I don't think that'll happen now. When you talk about players talking about other players, I mean, they're really political. Behind closed doors, they say other things, but when you get in front of the camera, most are they're gonna toe the company line on George. I don't know, and I've heard things as you've heard things. I'm sure being in the sports business like you've been and broadcasting, but nobody. I don't think anybody. They might. I mean, somebody might have a big chest and stick his chest out and say, "Hey, this is how it was." But most guys aren't. They're just going to go about their business and not answer questions about that and really not tell you what they really think. They're going to do that behind closed doors.
Well, and that guy might be Zach Wilson if he's still on the Jets roster. If you remember, he's going to make that dude's life in hell every day in practice.
Yeah, but I'm talking about from the Packer locker room.
No, I know. I'm making a joke.
Somebody in Green Bay saying, over the last 2 or 3 years, this started to wear on us. We got tired of it. We got tired. It was a soap opera. We never knew what he was thinking. I just wonder if anybody comes out in the next week and says, let me tell you how we really felt.
Well, they could, George, but like it's all about winning football games in any professional sport, especially in the NFL. And if the guy behind center is the best guy on your team to help you win games, guys put up with a lot, and that's the way it is. They just want to win, and doesn't matter what person. I mean, there's guys on the team that you love, and there's the guys on the team that you don't like, but you have to have a mutual respect for each other. And as long as the guy that is playing is giving you the best chance to win, guys really don't care.
And I don't know if it's a true rebuild for the Packers. If you look at that division, Minnesota has questions long-term about the state of their franchise, particularly at quarterback with Kirk Cousins. Chicago is also in a rebuild. They just traded back from 1, so they're investing in Justin Fields. The favorite in that division right now is the Detroit Lions with Jared Goff at quarterback. So if you're Green Bay right here, you move up in the draft, but you're in prime position to trade back and get even more picks and kind of retool around Jordan Love with the young wide receiving core.
I will say this, though. When Jordan Love came in the game a couple of times, he looked pretty good. Now, I know he wasn't playing for much, but, he did look pretty good. And it looked like, he might have he could have a bright future. You never know. But I will say this, for how many years has it been? 30 years that they've had Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they've made the right pick at quarterback, and they obviously have a knack with that. And they saw something in Jordan Love, and got to give the guy a chance. When he's played pretty good.
Well, their front office better hope that he's what they say he is.
I agree.
Because if he isn't, they're going to catch it.
Well, if you think about it now, I'm a little biased. My mom's a big Packers fan. They have 2 first-round picks for next year. They could easily trade up in the draft next year and draft a quarterback. Caleb Williams, Drake May, those are some guys that are coming out next year to get their guy if Jordan Love doesn't perform this year.
Yeah, but they don't want to have to admit that.
That's true as well.
That's a big key to this is they've stuck their neck out for this kid. He had better be the real deal.
Yeah, and I will say this, when you're talking about that division, I'm with David in that division, but, you talk about the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions has got this deal where 3 of their wide receivers are going to be suspended. So, what do you do if you're the Detroit Lions? It's going to put an onus, because Jameson Williams was hurt last year, and he's a really good football player, and then he's suspended for the first 6 games. So that could obviously change the draft day for the Detroit Lions. I mean, they might have to go after some wide receivers, because obviously, with the Cephas kid, the Williams kid, and the Berryhill, they're going to be suspended. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Even with the Detroit Lions, they've come into a situation where they didn't think this was going to happen, and now something has happened to their wide receiver core, and they're going to have to do something.
It's either that or join the Titans and run the wishbone. Hey, good segment of Kelly Holcomb's World of Football. We'll go to the break. A few thoughts on the NBA playoffs when we come back, and then later we'll have Plaster Bet of the Day. But first, are you betting on either the NBA or the NHL playoffs? Well, hopefully the answer is yes, and if it is, then you need to download the app, action247.com. Now, to take this a little bit farther, use the promo code George and get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. That's right. If you have questions, these are good folks who can help you. They are your neighbors located right here in Tennessee. So download the app or visit action247.com to start all that winning, and please bet responsibly.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Well, you might have noticed in that picture, go ahead and put that picture back up for just a second, if you will. There it is. So you see LeBron and Steph Curry back there. One of the things that I agree with that Mark Jackson has said on some of the NBA telecasts is that the NBA has never had a better level of offensive creativity, shot making, if you will. Now, there are a lot of people who are sports fans, in particular in the city we live, that wouldn't watch an NBA playoff game. I'm not being critical of that, to each their own. You know, a lot of you wouldn't watch a Braves game. I watch a ton of them. It's just how we're wired. But I will say this. If you were going to pick one and only one NBA game that you would watch, it ought to be Game 5, Sacramento and Golden State. Kelly, I'm telling you that the level of basketball ability on that court right now in the first 4 games of this series is off the charts. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then De'Aaron Fox hits the three-pointer when Steph Curry made the mistake, and he got him within 1 point. And then Steph Curry goes down, and he still had 10 seconds to go on the play clock. I don't know why he didn't take that down. Obviously, he got a good shot, but he missed the shot, so they were really struggling to win that game. But I think you're absolutely right, George. To watch some of these games played and to see some of the shot making, I've told my daughter who plays basketball at Lipscomb, that's what separates college basketball from the pros. These guys do not miss many shots. When you leave them open, more than likely they're going to knock it down, and the shot making is incredible. And that series, I mean, there's some good series going on right now as there is in the NHL. I mean, I've been watching the NHL a little bit too, and it's kind of incredible with what's happening in both sports. And you're absolutely right with the shot making that's going on, and Steph Curry, the best shot maker of all time. And then you got Klay Thompson on the same team. De'Aaron Fox is one of those. He's taking his game to another elevation, and he's making shots too. He's been in the NBA for a while. He's a young guy, but man, he's making some incredible shots as well. So it's going to be neither team has won a road game. Somebody's going to have to win a road game, or they might not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But you're right. Great games.
There's, by the way, the next of these games, Golden State Sacramento, is Wednesday night in Sacramento, where that crowd will be unbelievable. And by the way, the Golden State crowd was pretty amazing yesterday afternoon as well. I don't know that I've seen a series quite like this one in a while. This feels like an NBA final. I don't know that I've ever seen a first-round game. This was kind of a fluke because Golden State lost a ton of road games during the regular season. So they came in as a 6 against a 3. When I look at these teams, this looks like a series that ought to be an NBA final. Now, it can't be because they're both in the West.
Yeah.
But, Kelly, the shot making is ridiculous.
Well, but the Golden State Warriors are past champions. I mean, they won it last year, so you're going to have to beat them. Even if they have to go on the road and win a game, I mean, those guys have the hearts of champions, and they're going to, just like that last play last night, they thought De'Aaron Fox was going to take it. So Draymond Green and Steph Curry both double teamed him, and then he shot it over to the other guy, and, Steph Curry took off running because he made 2 huge mistakes there at the end of the game with calling a timeout. When you can't call a timeout, that's reminded us of all of us about Chris Webber in the national championship game, which I'm sure nobody wants to bring up anymore. But that kind of reminded you of losing track of where he was. He called a timeout, I guess because they had reviewed a play earlier in the game and they didn't have it. And then he goes down and he had a lot of seconds on the play clock and he shot the ball and gave those guys an opportunity to win the basketball game. They didn't need a 3-pointer. All they had to do was get it inside, and one of their former teammates shot the ball, and he didn't make it. So you've got, in order to be the best, you've got to beat the best, and Golden State's been the best for quite a few years now, and they've got the heart of a champion, and you're going to have to beat them. George, George, let me ask you this. What did you think about Draymond Green coming back? You've been awful critical of him. What did you think about him coming back last night?
Well, I mean, look, it didn't warrant more than a 1-game suspension.
Yeah.
So they bring him out last night. They didn't start him, which I thought was interesting. What also was interesting was how offensive-minded he tried to be, because I think he realizes that at times when he's been out there earlier in the series, it felt like it was 4 against 5, and he decided that he was going to force the issue where somebody was going to have to guard him a little bit. There's no question he makes a difference with them, and they're a better team with him. That said, Kelly, I think they've made the decision they're getting rid of him at the end of the year. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see. Yeah, it's a front office decision, obviously, and a head coach's decision. But I do know this. He went into Steve Kerr's office and said, I just want to win the game. I don't think I need to start. He told Steve Kerr that. And, Steve Kerr said that's just the kind of guy and the player that Draymond Green is. He said, we won game 3 without him, and he didn't want to switch it up. So he's the one that recommended, sitting on the bench to start the game, to be off the bench. So, I don't know. The guy seems like he wants to win. I know he's a headache a lot of times, but he looked like he was getting into Aaron Fox's head a little bit, but it obviously didn't matter because the guy's still scoring points.
Yeah. So I'll leave it this way. If you're going to watch one NBA playoff game all year and only one, it's Wednesday night. I'm not even asking you to stay up till the end, which might be 11:30, 11:45. But at 9 o'clock, give it an hour and see what you think, because it's the most compelling first-round matchup I can ever remember the NBA putting out there. Through a fluke, Sacramento Golden State feels like an NBA final when, in fact, it's in the first round.
Well, I'll give it. Yeah, I'll give it to you. I mean, you're absolutely right. But, there's another series that's down the road from us that's pretty compelling too. I mean, that's a good one as well with Memphis and LA.
I'm having a hard time rooting for Memphis. I want to root for Memphis, but I'm not real wild about this cast of characters.
I am too. I hadn't really kept up with it too much this year until we started doing this, until I started doing this show, and it's compelling to me. And I didn't realize how much they talk. Like, just go out on the court and play ball. I mean, I'm with you, what you said about Dylan Brooks to start the show. Like, LeBron James is old, but like, he's the top scorer ever in the NBA. I mean, he's done so many things. It's just if you want to talk, don't talk to him. Like, keep him silent because he's bigger than you are. He's arguably, I don't know if it's arguably, but he's arguably the best player ever to play the game. I mean, it's just shut your mouth and go play ball.
It would be different if the Grizzlies were coming off an NBA title or they had even ever won one. They haven't done anything. They have nothing to speak on. And they're the ones coming into this series talking. LeBron's just been going about his business.
Which makes tonight's game at 9 o'clock really compelling.
I'd put that on the second tier, you said best game to watch in the playoffs tonight. I'm with you, Kelly.
Pretty good stuff.
I'm excited about that one too.
I'll be watching for sure. You can bet on that.
We'll go to the break. Plaster bet of the day, which may involve that game, comes up next.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd, the goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Experience Predators hockey all season long. Visit NashvillePredators.com/season tickets and join the Loyal Legion today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets, and we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Bear Difference at beardifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome back. Final segment live from Foxland Golf Links out here in Gallatin. Great event going on today. Talked with Brandt Snedeker as well as Jason McCormick. Great event going on. George, we got Bart Durham Injury Law Plaster Bet of the Day. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, let's check out what happened over the weekend. It was a 2-0 weekend for George.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
How about that, Kelly?
Nice.
Boom.
The Knicks.
The Knicks, baby.
You're going to keep betting on them.
Well, the Knicks at the Garden are really hard to beat. And I'll be honest, I don't think we've seen the best Cleveland has. The 2 games at the Garden, I wasn't very impressed with Cleveland.
They didn't look interested.
No. And then the Wild buried Dallas in Game 3,
and what has
yesterday,
been an awesome
Dallas,
series.
yeah, yesterday, Dallas. So, see if I've got this right. The road team has won 3 of the 4 games in that series.
I think you're right. I saw, yeah,
crazy.
You never know in the NHL.
In hockey, you don't.
It's crazy.
There's a saying in both sports that the series really begins when the road team wins.
Yes.
And who knows, in that Golden State series, so far, Kelly, nobody has broken serve. It's been home team all the way.
Let me ask you about that series, Kelly. I know you've been watching. Which road team has a better shot at winning? Warriors or Kings? Because I can't get a read on it.
Well, I think the Kings had the best road record in the Western Conference this past year, so you would think the Kings, but like I said, the champion of Golden State will have to come through, and I think if they get down, I think you'll see. I'm just not sure. I don't know. It's a toss-up with who's going to win that series. It really is. And I would say another thing, too. I was thinking today with the NHL, what those guys, and we talked about this last week when I was on, but what those guys do on skates with that puck. I mean, you got guys shooting shot in between their legs, shooting it over the goal. I mean, he's got one spot, one area up there in the goal. It's amazing what those guys are truly athletes. And I mean, I've always said that hitting a baseball when a guy's throwing 100 miles per hour is one of the hardest things to do. And then he's got a slider that he can drop down and throw it. But what these guys do on the ice is really, really impressive to me, and it's really fun to watch.
And a lot of times they don't have much of an opening in the goal at all.
No,
I mean, it's
and
a little
there's a
sliver.
chance 2 seconds before they decide to shoot that they're going to get blasted into the next world.
They're going to lose some teeth.
Oh, my God. I mean, none of them have teeth.
It's crazy.
Although the NHL has changed. You listen to some older NHL players, it used to be more of a...
Oh, it was more blood and gore than it is now.
Yeah, less skill, less finesse.
They've taken some of it out.
Yeah.
So we've got an NBA game tonight and an NHL game. And I really struggled. This one, I believe in really strong. The Rangers did not win Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. They're going to win tonight. That crowd's going to see to it. They're going to be jacked up. You know, New Jersey right across the river. So there's a lot of rivalry kind of stuff. I just am hard-pressed to believe the Rangers are going to lose twice in a row.
They're too talented.
So we're going NYR tonight at MSG. That's what GTP thinks. Now this one.
Are you going LAL?
This one I've got, I don't know. I definitely didn't like the first game, which is Milwaukee-Miami. I don't know if Giannis is playing or not. And if he's not, Milwaukee's in deep trouble. If he's not playing, they got issues. The rest of that group isn't good enough. But on this one, the Lakers jump out as like 54-9 or whatever it was early, and then Memphis kept crawling back as though they figured something out. If they have, tonight's where this series may get decided.
Well, what they figured out is that they're better than the Lakers.
If they shut up and just play, maybe they could be.
But when you start out a game like the Lakers started out the other day, they were playing really good. They were D'ing those guys up.
Yeah.
And when you start out to, what was it, like 39-5, or was it
something crazy like that?
It was crazy. But when you get in a situation like that, it's human nature to not keep doing the same things you're doing when you're the Lakers. I mean, 39-5, that's hard. I don't care if it's the first quarter or not. That's hard to come back from. I mean, you don't have to do a lot of stuff to win the game. And, you know, it could have been that, or you said, you know, maybe Memphis found something, but I don't know. It's just, it's an interesting series. It's not quite as good as the one you talked about with the Kings and the Warriors, but this is a compelling series to me, and I can't wait to see it tonight.
And I think what's scary for the Grizzlies is LeBron flipped a switch last game. He said, okay, I'm turning it up. I'm going to start scoring a little bit more. This game he could take off, but they could still win. That's what's a little scary about it.
That may not have been the only thing he wanted to flip, if you catch my drift. And apparently you all did. I think he'd like to have flipped Dylan Brooks off at some point.
I think a few fans did.
Yeah,
that was entertaining. They were on him in the warm-ups.
Yeah. So, look, I've got a lot of confidence in the Rangers. Not so. I don't know what to think about this tonight, but I know this: it will be entertaining. If you can stay up, this one might really be worth watching. Guess what we got tomorrow, Kelly?
I agree. So who did you pick? Who'd you pick? Have you picked yet?
I picked the Lakers and the Rangers.
Gotcha.
Guess what we have tomorrow?
What's that?
Super Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Ever heard that before?
I've heard it, but I don't think it's what you're talking about.
No. Tony Basilio at 2:18 p.m., Herm Edwards at 3 p.m.
Oh, we got Herm.
Yeah, you get to talk to Herm.
We get to talk to Herm. Nice.
Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday. Why did you move him to Tuesday?
Just some theories of broadcasting. We want to see what happens.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'll tell you off the air. Okay. Thanks to the folks out here at Foxland Golf Links. They have treated us beautifully. They have very nice pillows, very comfortable, really nice couch to do this from. Thanks to the folks with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, Jason McCormick, Brandt Snedeker, a bunch of folks out here that made us feel very welcome. Tomorrow, we're back in our new digs at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. Until then, try to behave, drive safely. We'll see you for Super Tuesday, whatever that means.